it's an interesting thought that name, image, and likeness might have prevented the Idaho Vandals from actually succeeding in their upset bid against what was number 3 Oregon. It's now number 7 Oregon because of how well Idaho played. And if you ask Dan Lanning, it was very simple to him how Idaho was able to make this a 3-point game until deep into the fourth quarter. And it was, we're going to stay in front of you. We're not going to let you hit any shots over the top. We're going to give you anything you want underneath. And we're going to run the football. We're going to tackle. We're going to play sound defensive football. We're going to try to eat the clock as much as we can. And we're going to see if we can't let Oregon beat Oregon. That's the way that Dan Lanning saw it. Did they hold on to the win? Yes. Are they undefeated? Absolutely. Do they get a Boise State team that I think is going to be tough? Yeah. But the point with this segment is the inverse of what seems to be happening everywhere else, according to some. So, for example, Florida State made $12 million in donations to their name, image, and likeness. They spread that wealth out. Among them, $2 million going to the defensive line. A defensive line that's given up 227 yards rushing per game and ranks 124th in rushing defense. It's safe to say that name, image, and likeness folks over at Florida State ain't exactly getting their money's worth, okay? 0-2, after being ranked as a preseason top 10 team, is not how you design this thing. To say nothing of what you're getting for the money you've spent on DJ Uiagalelei. And I'm curious to find out, A, does he finish the game against Memphis? And B, if they lose to Memphis, what other changes are going to happen at Florida State? Because as much as people want to tell me that Mike Norvell's seat is safe, you lose to Memphis, you go 0-3. I got to question whether you're telling me the truth or not. Because I don't know too many people that are going to watch their team go from a top 10 preseason team to 0-3 and not want to make some wholesale changes. To say nothing of staring up at Georgia Tech at the top of the ACC over your dead body. Now, I thought it was interesting that Jason Eck, who's the head coach at Idaho, thought that if he was able to pay the guys that he had last year to stay at Idaho this year, they probably would have beaten Oregon. As a matter of fact, the quote that he gave to Bruce Feldman is, if we had those 5 guys that got paid, I think we'd probably have beaten Oregon. We got sacked 4 times. Our quarterback, who is now at Oregon State, can really evade pressure and extend plays. He's talking about Javani McCoy, who after 2023 was Walter Payton Player of the Year finalist. He had thrown for damn near over 5,600 yards and 42 TDs in the last 2 seasons. I don't think they were particularly bad at quarterback. They just weren't mobile at quarterback. They also lost an All-American corner in Marcus Harris. That's going to hurt going to Cal. He apparently was outstanding for them. I mean, you keep going down the list on this one. Anthony Woods was the first-team All-Big Sky player, 1,100 yards on the ground. That dude is at Utah now. I expect him to have a big year. And Zuri Alexander, who led the Vandals as a true freshman in tackles, was 75, 2 forced fumbles. He's at UCF now. He had put together a good football team. They had won on their evaluations. They had hit on guys that they knew could help them win football games. And when you're this close to putting money in the bag, we're talking about, I think, $700,000 is what they got paid to go to Autzen to play that game. And you could walk away with a win. You got to feel some kind of way about that, right? Like you would love to have the players that you have, but it's hard for me to feel bad about this, right? I would have much rather that Jason Eck came out here and said, yeah, we should have won, and left it there. Why you got to talk about what you ain't have? That's what everybody's doing now. Everybody's talking about what they ain't have. Everybody's talking about where their players went. They were never your players. They're never your players. With the transfer portal, they are your players as long as they are playing for you and they feel confident. Some guys, they want to finish what they started. Okay. Some guys want to go wherever the next paycheck is. Why ain't anybody coming after Dylan Gabriel like this? You know what I'm saying? Like, he was at Central Florida, he went to Oklahoma, gone to Oregon. Nobody's mad about that. But that's because he's on a team that is winning and on a team that we picked to win the Big Ten championship and or play in the national championship or win it. If you wanted them dudes on College game day, they got to feel real shook about their Oregon national championship pick right now. But if you were DJ Uiagalelei and you were 2-0 instead of 0-2, would you be catching hell for this? No. What I'm saying is, you can't be a hypocrite about this. You either are in on name, image, and likeness and paying players, or you're not. And you can't tell me that it's gone bad for you because you can't pay anybody, but you can also afford to pay some and keep them. Like, my next question would have been, okay, so who did you pay? Who were you able to afford? Or who didn't you have to pay? And why don't we hear about those players? You know, like, I continue to look around at this thing, and I wonder just how many people understand how business actually works. And yes, college football is a business. It's always been a business. We've been paying players to play on different teams since the turn of the 20th century. It was not uncommon for one guy to play at Yale that morning and play for Harvard that afternoon because he's getting paid to do it. That's what this means. When television got into this thing in the 1950s, we were paying players. We just didn't call it that. Bud Wilkinson put together one of the greatest dynasties of all time at the University of Oklahoma, my squad, right? And I'm picking on my squad to show you where I land on this. Oklahoma won 47 straight football games, 47, which was unheard of and damn near unheard of and unmatched, right? We're looking at Georgia, who's probably going to get close if things keep going their way. They won 40 straight regular season games. They won 43 out of their last 45. Do you know how Bud Wilkinson built those teams? He paid grown-ass men coming back from war with the GI Bill. So would you like to be a 25-year-old, 26-year-old, 27-year-old, 30-year-old playing college football? Sure. Or would you like to do what BYU does? BYU has been doing this for years. Guys go on missions for a couple years. They come back as true freshmen. Then they redshirt, and they're 23-year-old redshirt true freshmen. We're talking about guys that normally would have graduated college, that are just now beginning college and put on all this weight and have wives and children. Bigger, stronger, faster. We're talking about 26-year-olds playing football. We're talking about 7th year starting quarterbacks at Oklahoma State, Alan Bowman, at Utah, and Cam Rising. A 9th year player at Miami making it work. You can't have it both ways, man. Either you're going to pay these players or you're not. And since we've already opened that Pandora's box, we're paying them. I don't want to hear about who you didn't pay. I don't want to hear about how mad you are that you couldn't afford them. Sound like a whiner and a loser to me. That's what that sounds like. I don't want to hear the disadvantages that you think you have. Dog, I do this show by myself. You know, I got started doing this on an iPhone, on iMovie. All of this came later. You can go check the catalog on this show. Over 5,000 segments on this show. Been grinding at this for some time. There's a lot going on around me that I cannot control. I'm not going to point a finger at what that person got and what that person don't got. I'm going to say, what do I have? What am I working with? And I'm going to go out there and I'm going to make it do what it do, baby. Because that's what it's about here. You know, grinding. I don't want to hear no excuses. I don't want to hear you moaning, complaining because you couldn't finish the game that you damn well nearly had in hand, man. It's 17-14. You got a shot. You just couldn't make it stick. That's okay. Probably going to have another great season. They went 9-4 last year. They beat Nevada, put the money in the bag. Maybe that was there for them this year, and they just kind of fell a little bit short. Caught Oregon off guard, right? And Oregon is taking the appropriate amount of flack from me and from others. Like, I've been very loud about, you can't beat Idaho by the same margin that Notre Dame went down to Texas A&M and beat them by and expect me to take you seriously. That's just not going to work. You know, we're not going to have that with you thinking you're going to win the Big Ten championship, let alone the national championship. You have more to show, right? And again, 1-0. We'll see. But in my sport, our sport, style matters because it ain't enough to be undefeated. We've established that. You can be undefeated. We might not give a damn. See, think about Florida State 2023, which is not the same team as 2024, so let's not do that. But the point is the same. Being undefeated is not good enough. You have to be undefeated with style points and with a roster that we think is worth a damn. So I don't want to hear nothing about how close you got or didn't get. Did you get it done or not? Nobody wants to hear your excuses. If anything, people got more respect for you, for how you carry it, because they understand context. They're not stupid. We're not stupid. We know how hard it is to go into Autzen against that team and go try to get a win. And we respect the hell out of you for it until you do stuff like this, man. I get that everybody wants to say, you know, it's this or that, but he's saying this is Jason Eck, Idaho head coach. He's going to get attention, our pitch maybe. He's talking about the players that he was trying to get, right? And who's going to get attention after these guys start making plays at the FCS level. He's going to get attention, and our pitch may be stay one more year, and then you might be able to get $500,000 from a Power 4 school. Don't just jump for $100,000. The Oregon tested them early, tried to go deep on him. This is a couple of guys that he was trying to get to stay. One in particular in Andrew Marshall, a sophomore cornerback. You know what I'm saying? I think you're saying stay here, show out against Oregon, and then go get your money after the fact. And I'm going, I don't know, man. I think if you want to go for $100,000, let him go for $100,000 because $100,000 is life-changing money. I'm not going to sit. There are there's a world of difference between what some people think of as good money or fine money and life-changing money, depending on where you come from. Where I come from, six-figure salary is still a six-figure salary. You're not going to argue about whether it's 500 or 100. You're going to try to go get it right now and throw that in the bank. You know, that's what the Times is doing right now. Like, you know what it is out here. You know how hard it is to pay for housing, especially if you got family and whatnot. You got other people that depend on you. I just don't think this pitch is going to work. And I think the more you try to talk to us about what you don't have and what you might go get and how long people want you to stay and quote-unquote pay your dues, the more you're going to lose from me, man. Take the L. Go into your season. Go win an FCS national championship. Then come talk to us.